four basic needs that all humans must meet to survive: oxygen, food, water, and sleep. If we go long enough without any one of these, we die. The plants around us provide us with the oxygen we need, and the average American has easy access to plenty of food and water. Our sleep, however, is one aspect in our lives that most of us do not get enough of. We get enough to avoid dying from a lack of it, but not enough to thrive. Everybody knows sleep is important, but most of us don't realize just how big of a role it plays on our everyday life. The world around us is always changing, but our basic needs remain the same. It's important that we realize why we aren't getting enough sleep and how it impacts our health, so that we can find a way to live a more satisfying and productive life. When we sleep, it allows our brain a chance to detoxify and recharge our batteries so that we're ready for the next day. Sleep experts agree that adults need 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night, while teenagers need 8 to 10. In the 1960s and 70s, the average person reported an average of about 8 to 8.5 hours of sleep per night. In a survey conducted by the Huffington Post 5 years ago, 65% of respondents reported an average of only 6.5 hours. In the past 5 decades, we've seen a major change in our culture. With advancements in technology, the world has become a fast-paced place to live in. We are constantly exposed to electronics that distract us, and we have our eyes glued to our screens. These screens emit blue light waves, which can mix up the signals in our brain. Our bodies are supposed to produce melatonin at night, but this blue light suppresses this. As we become more and more connected to the world around us, the first thing we're pressured to sacrifice in order to keep up is sleep. However, by sacrificing our sleep in the hopes that we'll be more productive, we're actually doing more harm than good. By not getting enough sleep, we open ourselves up to all sorts of health and performance issues. In a survey conducted by Dr. Kyla Wallstrom from the University of Minnesota, students who received A's averaged about 15 minutes more minutes of sleep than those who averaged B's. Those students who averaged B's reported 15 more minutes of sleep than students who averaged C's. So an extra 30 minutes of sleep can be the difference between an A student and a C student. Those who don't get enough sleep every night are also more insulin resistant, which increases their chances of getting type 2 diabetes. According to studies out of Harvard University, a lack of sleep is also connected to increased chances of having a heart attack, a stroke, or getting cancer. Even if you get the proper amount of sleep every day, there are still other factors that can cause us problems. Not only do we need 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night, but the quality of that sleep is just as important. The quality of our sleep is extremely fragile. Going to bed at different times or with distractions affect our quality of sleep. Even working the night shift and sleeping during the day negatively affects the quality of our sleep. In fact, the World Health Organization has stated that working nights is a probable carcinogen. Sleep is necessary for us to live. If it wasn't, we probably wouldn't do it. Nobody wants to spend a third of their lives laying in bed when they could be doing something else. Just like how someone can eat enough food to live and still be malnourished, we can also get the minimum amount of sleep we need to function while not getting enough to perform at our best. Sleep is one of the most important activities we use to function properly, yet it's almost always the first thing we sacrifice. We all have days where we won't have an ideal sleeping situation, but it is important that we realize just how beneficial it is.